everyone to this special episode of the 5 Tips and Tricks for Careers in Athletics, our holiday episode. And I have to welcome my favorite all-time, happiest, best, holiday joyful co-host, Jen Albanese. Hello, Jen.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. That was fantastic, Morey. Happy holidays, everybody. Look at us. We're matching.
In the spirit, we got our matching sweaters from years ago. I've got my menorah for all my fellow Jews. Shalom. We've got our special
got my
menorah.
Little Christmas tree over here.
All set
Merry
up.
Christmas to everybody. Happy holidays to anyone who's celebrating anything this season.
Yes. Season's greetings on this special Christmas. That's when this will be released for everybody. It's slated to go out Christmas morning. So
that's so great. Well, just what you want to do on Christmas morning.
Right. Unwrap your presents and unwrap a episode of the 5 Tips and Tricks.
Perfect. I mean, that's a holiday tradition right there, if I've ever heard one.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a cool episode because after the break, we will go through questions that we have had asked by some of the guests or some of our followers out there. So that'll be really cool for everybody the first time we're doing that. But going into this year, have to ask you holiday memories. What's that top holiday memory?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, I think I had great memories growing up as a kid doing the holidays, especially the Christmas. You know, it's so much fun. We would always wake up in the morning. My brother and I would run down the stairs, and my parents always, obviously as Santa, always would put the biggest presents in our back den room. So we always were like, what's going to be in the back? So cool. So that was one of always my favorite things that I remember as a kid. And we would always go to my grandma's, and we'd go to my nannies, and we used to get presents at all those different places. And we'd be like, oh my gosh, Santa comes to all these places. This is so cool. So now that I get to do that with my kids and have them run down the stairs and open up presents, I feel like that's the magic of the holidays, you know, is to see and the kids just be so excited. And I just remember always being so excited about that. So what about you? What kind of traditions did you guys have?
Seeing my kids is exciting. That's definitely an exciting part of it. But I think Thanksgiving, the turkey being made and that smell in the morning.
You do love that smell. You do love that smell.
My drive my wife crazy because now she has to make a turkey, even though we might not actually be hosting Thanksgiving at our house. And my mother used the most basic stuffing recipe. It's white bread and butter and onions. And it's what I grew up with. And my wife's this is disgusting, but she makes it for me, which is wonderful. So love you, Liz. Thank you for that.
Good wife.
She's and then the kids and I will sit there or before watch the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade. So that's a big one for the
the parade. The parade is the best.
Yes.
We always used to yell what we wanted for Christmas
Santa.
From Santa at Santa. So now I tell my kids yell at the TV and tell Santa what you want.
So that's a big one. And then I remember as a kid, all I wanted for Hanukkah was a Sega. And I don't think and Hanukkah doesn't usually line up with Christmas. So it's either usually before or after. So it's always weird, when you get your presents.
But this year it's right around the same time, right? It's happening.
It's matches up completely the same. Perfect. So that's pretty cool. But my kids do both anyway. So they're pretty lucky on that side. But I remember getting my Sega and just that was the best thing. I played Sonic the Hedgehog for hours. My thumbs would hurt. I had calluses on my thumbs from playing Sonic the Hedgehog. That will go down as a top memory for sure.
There you go. I love that. I know it's just so much fun the holiday season is a lot of fun. There's so many things to get ready for the holidays too, putting up your tree and putting up your decorations and doing all the holiday things, going on the sleigh rides or going to,
I was going to say getting ready to go sledding. That's always fun.
Exactly. Yeah.
Having your hot chocolate ready and, Graham, my son, already has pointed out knowing where the sleds are because he's ready for that first snow, which will be wonderful when it arrives. But
I know it's okay. We don't have to rush it.
No,
my kids love to go through the neighborhood and see all the Christmas lights.
Yep.
So we always do our drive-throughs to see all the houses that put up their Christmas lights. So it's just a whole season of fun. I feel into the actual holiday time. So
we're actually going down to visit my parents, and in Baltimore they have Miracle on 42nd Street and
34th Street.
34th Street. I can't remember. And this whole block does all these amazing Christmas lights, and you walk down. And so like,
cool.
we'll do all the, like, kind of like lights on the lake here that we do, like drive through, but you walk through it and people, like the neighborhood gets together and do it. So I think that's really cool. So,
that's fun. So there's so many different things to be able to do.
Yeah.
So hopefully everybody out there is enjoying the holidays with their family and doing their traditions and making great memories. So that's what it's all about. So
yeah. So happy holidays to everyone. And you're going to hear all of our questions / tips when we get back from this break. If you're enjoying this podcast, please follow us on your favorite podcast streaming service. The 5 Tips and Tricks podcast is a part of Athletic Career Consulting, a group focused on educating and guiding high school and college students looking towards careers in athletics. To find out more, go to our website at www.athcareer.com. That's ATHCAREER.
All right, welcome back, everybody, from break to this special holiday episode. Morey, let's tell everybody what this episode is, a little bit different than our usual.
Yeah, so we wanted to do something a little bit different for the holidays, and we've been getting some questions from people, and we wanted to throw them out there and answer people's questions live on the podcast and get some information out to the whole world for what people might want to know. So we'll start from there. So
cool.
Jen, I think I have the first one to read from you from our special bag here of tricks of what they're asking.
All right.
So number 1, Steve from Ohio asks, Jen, what college class do you think has been the most helpful in your career in athletics?
Oh, that's a good one. I would say the most helpful class, obviously, if you are in a sport management program, you're getting great experience. But I think any sort of technology class right now, I mean, a lot of our guests, you know, whether you've listened to some that have been out or some that are upcoming will tell us, technology right now is such an important skill to have. So any sort of, whether it's video editing or graphic design or understanding any sort of like data-driven type information, how to be able to aggregate that and learn from that. So I think any sort of technology class and that you can get those hands-on experiences to be able to do those things, that's going to set you apart. So when you're, you know, applying for jobs or when you're looking for internships, to be able to have that experience and knowledge from learning that in class, I think will be super helpful. So yeah, that would be, you know, one of the classes I would say is important. But Morey, I don't know. Do you have any that you would recommend? Any classes?
I don't know. I think, you know, one of our people talked about like writing and like being able to story tell recently. And I think like that's an interesting thing. Like if you do that, but honestly, the thing that's been most helpful for me in weird ways is psychology, like how you like think about people and work with people and their mindsets, like
managing
people. There's like thinking and, you know, if I do the shout out to Anthony DeFino, he would probably say like a business class, you got to take a business class, and that would be, but you know, psychology has been a big one for me. Like that was my background kind of going into things. And I think about like, okay, what are people thinking and how are they thinking and what's the system that they're thinking in? And that that's a big one for me.
Yeah, that's a good one. You wouldn't think about that, obviously, in sports, but, you know, whether you're in any sort of leadership role, being able to manage people is important. So that's a really good one. I think that's a really, really good one. So awesome. I hope that answers your question, Steve.
Yeah, Steve, I think that's a good answer. I think Jen had a solid one. Technology.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Morey.
Yeah.
All right, I have one for you. So Sarah.
Throw it at me.
All right. So Sarah from Florida wants to know, what was the best sporting event you ever worked? Ooh, that's a really good one.
That's a good hard. That's super hard because there's been a lot of them now over the years.
Yeah.
I'd say the one that was like most sticks out in my mind, end up being the most rewarding is the NCAA East Regional. When I got to oversee that, that was like such a big, like months of like prepping and like getting everything together and all these teams that fly in, none of them being the teams that you work with every day.
Yeah, exactly. And like, that's a good point. Yeah.
And then like all these different people and talking to the NCAA and then like, okay, now and everyone in the world is watching it, right? It's on TV and it has to like be perfect. And then like all of a sudden the games are started and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that like this has been pulled off. And I think that was professionally, like working an event, that was probably like the most impactful one that I can think of, like in my mind of like working an event. Being a part of an event though, the first national championship with the lacrosse team in Foxborough, Foxborough Stadium, Massachusetts. I want to say North Carolina, but Massachusetts. That was like such an overwhelming, awesome feeling, and being with that team for so many years, and like having kind of our down times, and then coming back and like winning that. It was an exciting wins. That was a pretty incredible experience.
Oh yeah, that's so cool. I remember being a part of those East Regionals though. Like those planning was like over a year in advance. Like you were meeting and having meetings.
The spirit and band specialist, Jen Albanese, was always assigned to be the contact for band and spirit, kept everybody in line because
I did. Loved them all.
Believe it or not, those people can be sometimes somewhat difficult.
Hey, they were all wonderful. But yeah, those events are crazy to be a part of because it's such a long process, and then it just is like over in a flash. You have like what, 3 games, 4 games, like it's so quick. So that's cool. Yeah, I remember that. We haven't done one in a really long time.
No, we haven't.
We really haven't.
What was your like big sporting event that you
that I ever worked?
It could be either way.
I mean, I want to say when we had college game day a couple of times during basketball season, that was really cool because the magnitude of that event is just so crazy to me, of like what goes into it, the planning, everything. So that was cool.
In a short period of time too, because you get like notified within like a week.
Yeah, it's a really, really short period of time. I think the best one that I've ever like witnessed, I think going to a Final Four was really cool. In basketball, we both went to Atlanta. Yeah. That was really cool. Just seeing again the magnitude of it, because not that what we do like doesn't have magnitude, it's just like on such a huge level. So that was pretty cool. Going to a ALCS championship game for the Yankees, that was pretty cool. Being a part of something like that. So yeah, I mean, there's some things that I've seen that really cool stuff. But yeah, I would say, I'd say probably game day would be my coolest one that I worked.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, my turn. I gotta throw it out to you. Mm-hmm. Okay, this is Jenny from Maryland. Wants to hear from Jen. What do you think is the biggest difference between college and professional sports?
Ooh, well, we've had a good mix, I think, on the podcast so far of folks from both college and professional. And for me, I think the biggest difference is in college, you're working on multiple sports at a time. Yeah. And in professional, you're just focused on one. And there's positives and negatives, I think, to both.
Even if you're assigned to like a specific sport, the other sports affect you.
Yeah, you're
in
still
college.
Part of it.
You're still a part of a bigger community. Like whether you believe it or not, some people don't remember that other sports exist out there and don't want to. But either way, they are there.
Yeah, I think a good example of that in college is like football. Like football at we're in a big, Power 4 school. It's all hands on deck. Everybody is working football games. So, whether you're assigned to lacrosse or field hockey or soccer, you're also working football because there's just such that huge responsibility of putting on a game day for football. So I think the positive of being in college sports is you get the variety because you have different seasons and you have the winter where you're in basketball and hockey, and then you go into the spring and you have softball and you have lacrosse and, baseball at some schools. And, so that's I think the good part again, but then the good part in professional is you focus on that one sport, 365 days a year. So you can really hone your craft with one sport and not have your attention driven other places. So I think it's really up to the person and what they really want to do.
Yeah.
If they want to have that variety, I think college sports is a great place. Professional, if hey, you're passionate, you are passionate about hockey, then, working in the NHL or in the AHL or, getting your way up to the NHL is where you want to be, then that's a great passion and you're able to spend all of your time doing that. So there's definitely differences, obviously, in college sports. there's a lot of things going on with NIL and all the different, stuff that goes into that. And then professional, obviously, this is what those athletes' jobs are. Like that's their livelihood.
It's clearly like a job. They're there.
Yeah, they're there to do a job.
Level of professionalism that is expected the moment that you sign that contract, which
exactly.
And then in college, it's educational. So like there is this like kind of section of like, they're still learning and there's still like a lot of things to navigate that you don't necessarily get in professional sports.
Yeah, in professional. Yeah. So I think those are the biggest differences, but you're still doing the same jobs in a sense. Like you're still selling tickets, you're still marketing your team, you're still covering your team from a social basis, you're still doing creative and digital and advertising and facilities. And so the roles are similar, but it's just the landscape is just different between college and professional. So
absolutely.
I hope that answers your question.
I mean, it wasn't my question, but I'm sure it will help.
Hopefully.
Help. Was it Jenny?
Yeah, yes. Jenny. Yes.
Jenny.
Well, thanks, Jenny, for the question. Okay, Morey, I got one for you. So this is Corey from New York, wants to know from Morey, what do you look for when you are reading resumes? Ooh, that's such a good one.
Ooh, very interesting. So yes. The first thing is that it has to be like organized and it can't be like 100 pages long because no one's reading. That means that you can't edit yourself. And that is a big problem. Like thinking, so like make sure that you are like really honing in on those things that are important and like putting together a clear, concise resume. That to me is a big one. It should
be one page. It should be one page.
Yeah.
It should never be more than one page.
What else? There should not be any misspellings and like you should have it edited is a big one. I am a big guy that for like dealing with headings, like headings and subheadings, like these are the things that you've did and it's easy for me to go through. If you are listing that you have like a 2.0 GPA, you really don't get the purpose of a resume. So like, don't, unless you have like a really good GPA and you're coming out of college, maybe, but I don't think that's the most important thing. But really highlight like the skills that you have. I think people really do a disservice to themselves and like put titles or things that but not necessarily use it to project the skills that they might be able to like show that they've done. Like I've been able to work on scoreboards if you're like in ops or I've been on search committees with Jen and they'll be like, I worked game day. Well, what did you do game day? Because there is a lot of different things that you've done. Like, did you come up with the promotion or did you just put it on? Like that's a big difference.
Big difference. Yeah.
Yes.
I would say, whatever job you're applying for, put those skills at the top. So, so that the skills are specific to the role that you're interviewing for or you're applying for, so that the person who's looking at your resume, because 90% of the time, maybe Morey, correct me if I'm wrong, we're looking through hundreds of resumes.
Yeah, it's a quick review because you're trying to sort that down.
You got to get to the point right off the bat, right at the top. So, if I'm looking for a marketing intern and I need them to have had game, scripting experience, like if that's not at the top, if I have to like look for that and find that, you're probably getting passed over. So really specific at the top, like Morey said about the headings is really important. Like get to the point of your specific role that you're interviewing for or you're applying for right at the beginning.
Always have someone review your resume before you send it. I know that like everyone is smart and they can be great and like you could be the best editor, but it is 100% worth, because if someone else can't relate to your resume when they read it, that means the person that's going to be receiving it is going to have the same problem. So
exactly.
I have unfortunately had interns or people that have given me their resume after they sent it out and I'd be like, ooh, this is rough. You should have sent this to me first before you sent it to the person that you want to review it. So there's a lot of good resources.
Have somebody look at it. And
if you're at college, go to your career center. Like they have a lot of great resources. They go through this all the time. Like you and your parents paid big money to go to school or you earned a really great scholarship. Use those career centers. Like get your full buck out of that one.
Or use Athletic Career Consulting, Morey. There you go.
Oh, you could do that. I will push that if you would like to use some services. I'm happy to do that. But definitely,
so everybody send your resume to Morey. Send it to us online, and Morey will look through it. It's perfect.
Just remember there's a slight fee involved, but we can keep going from there.
But yeah, no, I think that's a really good point of having others look at it, and definitely take advantage of any resources, whether it's in high school or college, that's there for you to help build that resume and format it and present it in the best way so that you have the best results with it.
And remember, it's just a piece of paper if you have no experience to put on it. So before you even get to the resume, get those internships, volunteer, get involved with the school you're at, volunteer at other places. The resume, you could write the best resume in the world. If it has no experience on it, you might as well have not written it. So that's my big tip.
Well, there you go. So we've got like 20 tips in there, Morey, but
it's Corey, all about the resumes.
Corey, really good question. Corey, really great question.
Strong
so thank you
question.
Thank you for sending that one in. Okay, I think this is our last one.
Yeah, I got it for you, right?
Oh, for me? Oh, perfect. That's right.
Yes.
What do we got?
Scott from New Jersey, the Garden State.
Hey, Scott.
Who has been your best guest on the podcast and why? Ooh, that's
like
tough.
Picking your favorite child.
Yeah, that's pretty tough there. Ooh.
Oh, I can't pick my favorite. We've had so many good people. So hopefully everybody goes back and has listened to all of them or is ready for some new ones in the new year.
See, I 100% thought I knew who you were going to pick just because this is the person you pick.
I mean, I got to go with my girl, Emily.
Yeah, I knew that's where it was going. It could be anything in the world. Emily could have just spurred mush out of her mouth for her episode, and it would have been like, Emily, I pick Emily.
Stop it. I love her so much. But no, it's just because it was more of like a catch-up session for us because we're always so busy and we don't get to do that. So it was great to see her. Oh my God, we had so many good ones. Like Carcaterra was so good. Like to hear his take on things was so interesting. I don't know, Morey, do you have a favorite? It's so hard.
I kind of agree with you. It's like picking a child. So I don't want to pick favorites, but so many people did a great job and we're really lucky that going into this new year, we had some great people that started off our first year and people to come in. And, I think about Galloway and Luther, who I had such great personal experiences with, and Chris Scarzi, who taught us about architecture, which is so different. Everyone kind of,
that was so interesting. I learned so much on that one.
you just kind of learn things that you don't know or you weren't expecting. And I guess I have to say I'm just appreciative for all of our guests that we have had.
I know we always say this, and everybody that's been asking us about doing the podcast, and we've been saying as much as it was to hopefully help all the listeners, but it's helped us so much. And we've had such a great experience, connecting with these people again, or for the first time, and learning from them and hopefully helping us in our careers. Cause I'm definitely learning from them. So
I think we have to say Fuller and DeFino because both of them could get very upset if we don't mention their names.
I know. We love you, Anthony. I always say you are my biggest mentor. So I always say that too about Anthony. But yeah, there's been so many good people and so
many more to come that we're very excited for.
Grateful and blessed. So thank you guys.
So with this lovely holiday treat, we're going to just say to everyone, have the best holiday season. Thank you for listening. Please, if you want to give us a present or a gift for the year, follow our social media. Yeah. Follow us on your favorite podcast channel. If you're an Apple person, hit that follow button. If you're a Spotify person, come on, hit the follow. You can add a question and then maybe at the next holiday season or at a special event, I don't know when our next, we'll live. We'll throw it out on our podcast. Not live. I guess we haven't done a live episode, but we will say your name and the state that you are from and ask your question.
Yeah. Thank you for sending those in. That was awesome. I love being able to answer questions because that hopefully helps people. So that was great. So thank you. But yeah, everything Morey said, do that.
Yes. And to say, have a happy new year, and we'll see everybody next week. So
yes, thank you guys. Happy holidays.
Bye.
Bye.
If you like the 5 Tips and Tricks podcast, make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. You can rate and review us, including questions that may be answered on future episodes. The 5 Tips and Tricks podcast for careers in athletics is part of Athletic Career Consulting. Check us out at www.athcareer.com. Don't forget to follow and like us on your top social media platforms.